After crossing to the Three Kingdoms, I exposed my identity as a traveler in front of Cao Cao, thinking that I could eat and drink spicy food and drink to go to Cao Cao. But Cao Cao's suspicious crime said that I misled people, wanted to cut my head, and asked me, "Since you know the future, why did you come to me Chalmanda?" Then some Bofo occupied Jiangdong called Little Bully. "Why don't you vote?" I smiled and said, "The child Sun Su is a short-lived dog. Not out of 5 years absolutely sudden death. That Liu Zhang is stationed in state of natural dangerous terrain holding heavy troops. Why don't you vote? Liu Zhang short-sighted, mediocre, incompetent. Neither will march nor rule the country. Follow him, that is asking for punishment." Then Lu Shuanda. "He thinks that Uncle Lu is kind and loves the people. Why don't you vote?" I then said, "Liu Bei is completely crying. Uncle is hard to get. Full of benevolence and righteousness, is actually a hypocrite. Naturally far less than the Prime Minister you." This quick question and answer, Cao Cao could not help laughing aloud. I thought the answer is seamless, but still underestimate Chalmanda's paranoia. Cao Cao stared at me and asked, "Since you claim to be from the future, should know the situation now, why do you want to find the Prime Minister's self-disclosure identity?" On this point Cao Cao thought to break his head. How cannot think? I heard this on my face, speechless. What is the situation now? The Prime Minister should know better than anyone else. In troubled times, human life is worthless. Enough to eat is already a problem. It is difficult to rise above the poor family. Want to start with nothing easy. And the Prime Minister does not know. The food in this era is really difficult to swallow. Have no right to eat meat without power, cannot do. Rather than aggrieve themselves to find the Prime Minister to fight. If the Prime Minister believes in me, then naturally the best. If not believe it, will die again. Humiliating life is not interesting. I will pour beans into the recent bitter days one by one. It is too difficult. I crossed to the Eastern Han Dynasty less than half a month. Hungry and think 20 jin. If I stay for another 3 months, I am afraid that only skin wrapped. Salt is more expensive than gold and there is no other seasoning. And now the world is in chaos. The people's surplus grain has been levied as a food and pay. Everyone has to tighten their belts to life. The family is strictly strict. A poor family want to rise too difficult. All say that through the good is the highlight of life. But I just want to say farting. No power, no gold finger. This is no problem, cannon fodder. Ah. After hearing my words, Cao Cao silently nodded. Although he did not understand my words, but also understood the meaning. The people cannot afford to eat the chaos of war. Even I master the track of history of people have had such a difficult time. That ordinary people how to, especially the family, poor family children difficult to emerge, which is said to Cao Cao's psychology. He had fantasized before, if he would become famous in the future, must break this pattern. When Cao Cao thought, then one side of a civil official, listen to you say so. Even if you are really a person of the future, must also be a mediocrity, a useless person. Even if you take to the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister will treat you with courtesy. Open the mouth is Cao Cao account under the advisor Cheng Yu. Cheng Yu has long identified that I am full of nonsense. Now listen to me say even rice cannot eat. The heart cannot help but identify that I am a waste. You this old man talk really make it very annoying. I cold hung. I am in the future at least is a master. Not to learn through ancient and modern, but in your words. At least is also a cold window to study more than 10 years of social elite. You say I am mediocre. The words against Cheng Yu have nothing to say. His face red. He was bored half a sound before the voice. Since you mix well in later generations, why do you want to come to this troubled world? Come but cannot eat. This is not mediocre, is what? This sentence is let me completely fly. You think I want to come on? You say I am a mediocrity, but I want to test you. Do you know what is quantum mechanics? Do you know that the earth is round? Know how to get to the moon? Before you go too far, I'm afraid you don't even know how to make fine salt, high purity white wine, or even ice in summer. A few simple words, let alone Cheng Yu listening to the jaw-dropping. Is Cao Cao also did not help from all over a shock. What quantum they do not understand, but they really understand the refining of fine salt and summer ice, which you can really refine fine salt. Cheng Yu stared at me with his eyes wide open. The excitement on his face could not be concealed. Was it difficult? Have a hand will be good? You don't think that after thousands of years of evolution, human wisdom has been unstoppable? See, Cheng Yu no longer say, I cannot help but look up. For a time everyone was deeply shocked by my words. If I say true, then completely can change the status quo. Only refined salt this point. If it can really be refined is shocking. How important salt. Salt to eat soldiers have the strength to kill the enemy. No salt to eat can only starve to death. Refining coarse salt jewels are very complicated. Not to mention only princes and nobles can eat refined salt on. But this is only I casually say too. There must be a lot of them do not know. For me, it's very simple things. Cough cough. Cao Cao pretended to cough a few. In order to hide the shock of the heart. Open to say, little brother don't be surprised. Zhong the temper some rush. Talk will inevitably be some improper, but you come through. Really too ridiculous all. I do not know you can have a way to self-identification. Otherwise we really hard to believe all. Smell words I just a little calm emotions. Waved and said, this I cannot prove. Refining salt to make ice these are good. A lot of knowledge is all based on the development of thousands of years of science and technology. Some can do, but there are some without later science and technology cannot do at all. Cao Cao frowned and thought for a moment after asking. Since you say you are the people of later generations, then I will ask you. Now our army will fight Zhang Xiu. What is the final outcome? After saying that, Cao Cao's face gradually became very solemn. Since I said I was after the world, that must be very understanding of the follow-up situation is. He wants to see how I answer. Listen to Cao Cao asked me so surprised. Asked, you really want to hear the truth? Hear this question Cao Cao felt a little uneasy in his heart. You can say, I found a place to sit down. and then Fei seriously said, "Let me say it is okay, but I first declare that what I said is recorded in historical books, not my personal remarks. If you hear bad, please do not blame the Prime Minister." Cao Cao said with a slight nod, "Little brother, but it doesn't matter. The Prime Minister will not blame me." Seeing my slightly solemn expression, Cao Cao's heart was more and more uneasy. I coughed a few times to clear my voice and said, "According to historical records, 2 years after the founding of Anan, the Prime Minister led the army to fight against Zhang Xiu. Zhang Xiu surrendered and then rebelled, and finally the Prime Minister's eldest son Cao Ang, nephew Cao Angming, and General Dian Wei died in this battle." The words of Cao Cao and other people were shocked, staring at me dead. "What did you say?" Dian Wei, his tiger eyes wide open, without a word directly pulled out his sword and glared at me. "This kid actually said he would die in battle." Cao Cao frowned and turned his head to Dian Wei to show him quiet. I did not pay attention to their reaction, continued to say, "It is said that because the Prime Minister's mount was shot dead, the Prime Minister was also hit by arrows. Cao Ang, prince to save the Prime Minister, gave his mount to the Prime Minister, died alone to meet the enemy, and the general's double halberd was stolen under the Hu Karjong embroidered tent. A man died after the final battle." Here Dian Wei, the whole person froze. His face gradually became solemn. Cao Cao is also a deep breath. He already guessed that Zhang Xiu will surrender. After all, the disparity of forces is very large. Want to defend the city of Wang is impossible, but never expected. Zhang Xiu will set up a homeland banquet, which caused his own loss of a lost son and a general. But Cao Cao has always been suspicious, for my words did not fully believe. Anyway, now he still cannot accept the crossing so sad, but I said is not unreasonable. Even his account under the advisor did not expect the situation. Even Gu Jiao, Cheng Yu, Sun Yu and other advisors did not expect. Cao Cao's eyes gradually cold, face gloomy, looked at me, asked, "Why do you want to tell me these things? So unthinkable things. If I don't believe, aren't you afraid I'll cut your head off?" I said faintly in a tone of voice, "Prime Minister, I have told you just now. First, I cannot survive on my own in troubled times, and I have come to take refuge. Second, I am not the kind of person who eats and waits for death, and since I have come, I naturally want to do something great." Cao Cao nodded and was somewhat satisfied with this answer, and then asked, "My little brother is so farsighted. I would like to ask you how to comment on me," said Cao Cao, slightly narrowed his eyes, showing a touch of fun smile to look at me, but heard these words Cheng Yu directly could not sit. The heart was tight. This is simply a proposition of the night owl. Cao Cao has always been volatile and moody. If I answer is not good, just now no matter how good, once said the wrong words annoyed Cao Cao is not happy. Body and head separation is not impossible. He could not help turning his head to look at me, but saw that I was still a calm look. Why take refuge in the Prime Minister? It was precisely because I could not evaluate the Prime Minister that Cao Cao was surprised to hear me say so. Could it be that the people of later generations could not evaluate me? I smiled and said, "Because the Prime Minister is not a hero and not a hero, but the Chinese people up and down 5,000 years of the only traitor." This remark, the people directly froze. Traitor? This comment was only made by Su Shou at that time, and Cao Cao's expression also changed. He was about to speak when he listened to me again. "Don't misunderstand me. I am not finished yet. Between these treacherous men, they are not the so-called treacherous men as you understand them. They are very capable of speculating, very rational and able to restrain, and very able to generalize. They are the treacherous men who do not adhere to the things they do not adhere to worldly things, and do not do ordinary people." Cao Cao suddenly raised his head and laughed. "Little brother, your vision is even better than Su Shou at that time, if he were still alive. I'm afraid I have to call you sir." My words go directly to Cao Cao's heart. The reason why he asked so is to know how posterity's evaluation of him, the so-called traitor, also only included the Prime Minister tip of the iceberg. My mouth smiled and said, "Even the posterity cannot fully evaluate the Prime Minister. Can evaluate the Prime Minister only the Prime Minister himself." This sentence is not flattering. Cao Cao has always been a controversial figure, both praised and reviled, but from ancient times to now, was called the only one of him. Just forgot to ask, what is the name of the younger brother? The more Cao Cao looked at me, the more he liked me, and then he realized that he did not know my name. My name was Lin Feng, and there was no word in later generations. I chose one of my own and called it Jing Ming. Cao Cao also smiled and said, "Jing Ming is so knowledgeable that he is worthy of studying hard for more than 10 years at a cold window. What position do you want to take?" I am also very glad to hear that. Thank you for your love, but I do not want to take the real post. Can you give me the next post? Let me give advice for the Prime Minister. Why is this? This answer made Cao Cao feel a little surprised. I explained, just as I have said, I come from later generations. My thoughts, strategies, arrangements may not be suitable for this dynasty, cannot have real power, so it is better to give me a post. Let me consider for the Prime Minister. As for the strategy is feasible, the right to the Prime Minister to decide is. Heard my words. Cao Cao deeply thought of the slight nod. Open the way, or Jing Ming thoughtful, since this is the case, give you a temporary master book of purpose. As for the drafting of the master book, Jing Ming does not understand the text here. It is not necessary to do. Hang your name on the line. I was very relieved. Smiled. Jing Ming thanks the Prime Minister. In fact, it is not that I do not want real power, just worried that Cao Cao will be suspicious. Cao Cao is skillful in controlling people, but he is naturally suspicious. He will not believe everything he says. If he gives himself real power, it will only make him more suspicious. Dian Wei, pass on the order, hold a big banquet. I will take over for Jing Ming. Cao Cao stood up and gave orders. No. Dian Wei hugged his fist to accept the order, and was about to turn out of the camp. Wait, just then, he heard Jin Ming say that he was not used to local food, and the people of later generations eat salt at every meal. In this case, Chong Yu received Cao Cao's eyes and immediately understood, Prime Minister, but the food eaten in our army is coarse salt, and there is no refined salt. I am afraid it cannot meet Jin Ming's needs. The two people sing in harmony, nothing but do not believe that they can refine salt. Indeed, the simple method of refining salt is formed under the improvement of various parties in the later generations. In the Three Kingdoms period, want to refine salt is undoubtedly a whimsical. Thinking of this, I smiled and said, Prime Minister, I also said just now, I will refine salt, and the army cannot do without salt. Since this is the case, the salt thing will be handed over to me.